What is going on, everybody? If you don't know, now you do know. You are officially tuned in to a very special edition, and I mean it when I say this time, a very special edition of the HFWB podcast series. This is your host, Clifton Pope, and with me today, I just have a very special person within her own right. I mean, the list of stuff that she has is just incredible within itself. I mean, she's an engineer, she's a self-esteemed, enthusiastic individual within her own right. She's a glamorist. She's been all over the world, all over the place. And at the same time, she is a public speaker and she is the founder and the CEO of Empowered Femme, which I love tremendously and follow, and y'all should too, by the way. If you have no idea who I'm talking about at this point, please welcome Zoraida Basaldu to the HFWB podcast series. Zoraida, welcome aboard. This has been long overdue.
Yes, thank you to you especially for giving me this opportunity to reach your audience and be here on your platform that you've created. Thank you. I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate the opportunity. And yeah, let's get to it.
Of course, of course. So, first question off the top, Zoraida, is actually quite simple. It's like, who is Zoraida Bazadu, right? Because a lot of people don't know. I was actually watching one of your videos earlier this morning, and the one thing you said that stuck out to me, overcoming obstacles, because that is very, very important. And that's something that I truly believe in and write about and, of course, talk about all the time. People don't realize your journey overall, first and foremost. People don't realize that you come from Mexico. You had to learn how to speak English when you were like 12 years old. You turned that into your own magic. Then you became an engineer. Then you went through the weight loss journey and everything. Can you elaborate on all that in your own personal words?
Yes, of course. You know, my name is Zoraida, fiance of your fancy, because I am feminine. I'm glam. You can see that my favorite color is pink, and yes, a lot of those points that you just mentioned, really that's been part of my journey and getting here, and then touching on that point of, a lot of people see Beyonce, who is my she's the diva, she's the fearless one, she's my alter ego who will walk in a room and heads will turn, and then Zoraida is the reserved, shy, scared, insecure. So through my own obstacles, I decided who I wanted to be and how I was going to get there. But just a little
Uh-huh.
background about myself. Like you mentioned, I am an immigrant from Mexico. We came here when I was about 11, and so yes, exactly like you said, my obstacles started right then, having to learn English, and then moving on, and I am. The product of a single parent home. My mom raised my brother and myself as a single parent, and then watching her go through her journey by, leaving her country and wanting better for her children. That was always the role model and the motivation that I always had growing up, to always being better and striving for more, because she had already done so much for us. How could I not? How could I not be successful? How could I not uh, walk on those shoulders and keep on building on what she had already built on? So
Right.
growing up, I remember it was very humble. We lived in my grandparents' home in one of the bedrooms, and then I slowly saw my mom build build up our family, and eventually she got a job. Then we were able to live in an apartment. We always used public transportation. Eventually she was able to get a car, and just little things, by working hard, by not giving up, by not letting the obstacles of language or any barriers stand in her way. So so growing up, I always had, she's always been my role model that I looked up to. And One of those summers when I was young, there was a program at Del Mar College called Tex Prep, and this program taught you about the different engineering disciplines. And so I remember 12-year-old Zoraida sitting there one summer, and there was a speaker, and the speaker put up the pay ranges for all engineering disciplines. So I
Mhm.
so that day I zoomed in. I said, let me see who the highest paid degree is, and that's what I want to be. I don't care how they do it. I don't care how I'm going to get there. Uh, Math, whatever I have to do, I need to do it, because in my mind, that was going to be what was going to help my family. I was going to be able to be a blessing to my family and be able to support them financially and be able to change our legacy, to be able to also at one point give back, right? So a
Yes.
petroleum engineering was the highest paid engineering degree, and I said that's what I want to be. That's that day, my vision, my path was clear in my mind. And so going through high school and growing up, uh, I quickly found out that college probably wasn't an option for me, because I had become a product of my environment. I had you know started to realize that my mom couldn't pay for college, that financial aid wasn't going
Mhm.
to be enough, that I needed to go to a a school away from here to get an engineering degree. That Del Mar was a 2 year a 2 year college, and it wouldn't give me what I needed. So quickly I started to you know stay in that mode of oh well, my mom can't afford it, oh I can't go, oh it's too far, of I can't, I won't, I don't have the means, starting getting into this mentality of just thinking as an average, just as an average person. And so I started to work with I ended after high school, I started to work with the state. So then to me that was like, oh, she has a good job, she has her benefits, she has her paid time off, she's made it. But then I quickly realized that that is not what I wanted to do, that is not what I wanted to be. I didn't want
Mhm.
to continue to be limiting myself and living in my obstacles, because at this point I myself depended on Medicaid, on food stamps. I depended on the box of food that a local church would give on Wednesdays. I started to depend on my
Mm.
husband. I started my family. I was in everything that I had grown up in, that I had wanted to change, but I couldn't because of my limiting beliefs. It that My only obstacle was
Right.
myself at that time. So one of the turning points for me was looking around the office where I worked at, and just seeing the ladies that had been there for 10, 15 years, 25 years, just kind of doing the same thing, filing papers, answering phone calls. And I looked around and I was like, oh no, no, like this is not going to be me. Like, that is not the person that I want to be.
I refuse to be
Yes,
like that in
yes,
that
yes.
trap.
So to me, so once that chip changed in my head, I went into lioness. I went into attack mode. I went into, like, zoom in on your goals, do whatever you have to do, and attack and attack and attack. So
Yes.
after realizing that, and being living in my purpose, realizing what I wanted to do, who the woman that I wanted to be, who she was, what she looked like, how she acted, when all of that was clear in my head, I just went through it. I enrolled at A&M in Kingsville. I had to drive an hour away, every day was a commute. By that time, I had my two kids, and my son was already in elementary, so I would drop him off at elementary, and
Mm,
my daughter would ride with me. She was in a little daycare program there because, again, I still used all the assistance that I could to help me manage and be able to make ends meet so that I could be able to go to school full time. And
right.
so working through that, I got through algebra, got through all the calculus book, got through physics, and I've always been an AB student. And I always liked math, but I said, you have to do this, you have to do this. I knew what that the reward was there, and eventually I graduated. It took me 5 years, and I graduated back in 2008. And I look back, and when I tell you I had obstacles, I had obstacles. I remember my car being repoed, and I remember not having transportation to school. I remember not having money for gas. I remember having, staying up really late doing my homework. I remember struggling, my family struggling because I didn't have a job. I remember everything, crying. I remember driving to school in tears. I remember a professor had to give me a ride like a whole semester. But you know what? I would always get back up. I would always put on my big girl pants and say, no, you're going to do it. You're come this far. Push a little bit more. I was always just my own motivation because unfortunately I just had people around me that were not supportive, were not helpful, so it was always me, myself, and I to always just push and push and push and push and find a way and figure it out, and just learn by my mistakes, and eventually when I graduated, it just all kind of came all came into place. All that sacrifice, all those nights of crying, everything that I had given up, just kind of manifested itself into the vision that I always had for myself and for my family. So, I not.
That is.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
No, I was just gonna say that is just a wonderful, wonderful story within itself. I love every single second of it, and you basically just envision basically what it is that you stand for, as far as just empowering yourself, just to take it to the next level. And it kind of just led to everything that you just described. And I just want to say I'm so proud of you, Zoraida, just for overcoming all those obstacles within itself, because I'm pretty sure it wasn't easy. And there were times that you wanted to give up. And it always happens like that. But it's just when you see that sunshine and then everything just comes into fruition, it just brings a visualization like, yes, I did it. I did it. And it's like, it's incredible. It really is. But I wanted to ask you this, Zoraida, as far as, empowered femme, when everyone who's listening to the podcast series right now, who's wondering what that is exactly, what's the message, what's the overall purpose, how would you best describe it?
So, empowered femme really came from my own realization of me not walking in my true power, me not letting my own light shine. And that came about, after already being in the engineering field for over 12 years and
Mhm.
still being insecure, still not realizing the the powerful woman that was living in me. So that realization
Right.
came later, when I turned 40. I realized, like, you are one bad ass woman. Like, you hold a career. You have a degree that less than 10% of women can have. You work in an industry that is male dominated. You
Yeah.
will save the company money. You will hustle on a 10-hour day, and then you come back home and you make the best arroz con pollo, you make the best rice and chicken for your kids, and you still, and then you can, and then
I
that
love
weekend you
it.
get yourself on a plane and you're in New York, and like you are like, who, like, look at her, like, value her, love her, you are,
Mm.
and that was, from that I thought, you know what, like me, there's probably like 100 other women who are living stuck, who don't realize who they truly are, how they really shine, how they really impact their family, their friends, their jobs, and so from there, I started Empowered Femme, which is an organization, just really a mission from my heart, just with altruistic intentions, to be able to impact women to have a positive manner that would lead them to paths of success, and really just starting with changing that mindset and changing that chip inside your brain to know that, there is no obstacle, you're not too old, it's not too late. Make that decision, say no, set boundaries, be in it for yourself. You deserve it, your family deserves it, stop settling for that Michael Kors purse, baby, you're ready for the Birkin, like, you need to just step into it, you know what I mean? Like, why do we keep playing ourselves
Oh my
small? And that's
God.
like one of the points that I want your
Yes.
listeners to know, you know playing yourself small. And I did that for a long time. For a long time I did that to myself. I sabotaged myself by playing myself small. And what does that mean? That means when when we are our own obstacles, we live in our fears, we're insecure, we don't allow ourselves to grow, we don't allow ourselves to do things for ourselves. You second guess yourself, you start to doubt your ability. And for a long time I played myself small, and now I don't even talk to myself in that way. I talk to myself in a way that, of course you can do it. Why not? Why not you? You deserve it. You want it, get it, and that was a turning point for me, about not playing myself small. And a lot of times people see in us things that we don't see ourselves, and that's because we're playing ourselves small. We don't have that same confidence. We have this little voice that's always telling us the opposite. And so, with Empowered Femme, I hope to teach women how to not play themselves small, and also, not to get played small, because a lot of times people will also play you small. They'll look at me and see, like, oh, she's an engineer in lipstick, she's probably not smart, when I can do probably the same job even better, because of my experiences, or what I know, or whatever the case is. But we also need to teach people how to treat us. So that's the part of when other play us small, setting boundaries, and setting those tones with people, because a lot of times we're shy, or we might not do that. But there's a series of random little principles that are very easy, but yet we don't practice them, we don't do them, we don't have them in one place.
Yeah.
So Empowered Femme is, an organization that set out to help women succeed and walk in their own light and in their own power.
That is beautiful. That is well said. And it's like, I love everything about it because I know, Zoraida, that your message is mainly for the women, but there's some men who could probably learn some of these very same things that women are learning from yourself. Because I always like to say it's like this: you got to have a little bit of a women's touch in this man's world that we live in, because it's just that's how everything balances out. I mean, like, life is truly a balance, right? So you have to have it balanced out. So why not spread the message that not just women, just anybody who could come across the message? Because I came across it. When I came across it, I was like, I gotta get in contact with her because me and her, we're basically speaking the same language, and we're trying to spread the same message. And that's one of the reasons why I love and support what you're doing with Empowered Femme. I think it's genius, and I think it's something that should have been done a long time ago. I could tell you that right now. I also wanted to ask you, as far as you just added another notch to your already impressive resume that you already have. Now, I want to say this. Welcome to the Authors Club, from one to another, because you just put out your own little Empowered Teen Guidebook. Look at you. How did this come together, and what do you want people to take out of this especially?
So, with the Empowered Femme mission, we started working with adult ladies, and from there, it kind of sparked the idea of like, hey, where would I be had I known all these things when I was 12 years old, when I was younger? Like, I wish somebody would have showed me, taught me, told me, some of these things, these principles that we now teach to the teens. So from there, started the Empowered Teens program, where prominent women from the community, we would go and mentor the teens at a junior high. And we would pick an empowering topic to talk to them about. So we did that for about a year and a half at a local middle school. And then from there, I was like, you know what? I would really like for the girls to have all of these principles in a book format or in a workbook that they could write down and look at it later, or come back to it at any point later on during the school year and revisit. And so from there, it took me a year to write down the principles and work on the formats and the layouts. And from there, the Empowered Teen Guidebook was born. And so it's about 200 pages. It's 200 pages, and you can see it's like very colorful and inviting for the young ladies to be able to work on their empowerment journey and to be able to walk in their light. And so it's 12 principles, and I have just been amazed at how the community has embraced and opened up their arms to the program. We have launched in 37 schools around Corpus Christi, and there's over 1,000 little girls that are going to have this book. They're going to learn about self-esteem. They're going to learn about time management. They're going to learn about their goals. They're going to learn about vision. They're going to learn about social media etiquette. They're going to learn about being powerful in your own skin, loving yourself for who you are. There's just various topics and lessons on here that are just so valuable to them, and I really can't wait to see what this is going to do for our community, because these are our future leaders. These are going to be the little girls that I'm going to be passing the baton on to, the future engineers, our future mayors, our future law enforcement. These are going to be, our future leaders. And that's really the whole mission of Empowered Femme, is to build up women by changing their mentality and leading them to paths of success.
That is incredible, and like I said, this is something that should have been done like a long time ago, and it kind of alludes back to a similar philosophy that we have, because I feel like children are the future, and if we don't plant the seeds as far as developing them into, like you said, future nurses, doctors, and just overall leaders to where they can empower themselves, the future is going to be darker than ever. But you, Zoraida, you're providing a very, very bright light that's definitely going to teach all these little girls and these teenage girls on how they can basically be their own boss babe, for example.
Exactly, yes.
As some would
leader,
say. Or just
that bad, powerful woman. Yes, that doesn't depend on nobody. The type of girl that you can't tell her nothing because she doesn't need you. The type of girl that could handle her own, who could be in control of her finances, her future, uh, and also, you know, be a blessing to her family, because
Mhm.
I'll tell you, our teens are not like the maybe when we were teens, we were probably just worried about, you know, what channel are we gonna watch, or what's mom gonna make for dinner. But unfortunately, our teenagers now are worried about their safety. They're worried about you know, a family member. They're already exposed to things that we can't even imagine. And so I want to shine light on positive role models, and not only just in myself but other women in the community, so that these girls can see that there's a whole community behind them, ready to support them, and so that they can start building their network of powerful women in their circles.
Yes, I love that message entirely within itself, and this needs to be carried like not just here in Corpus Christi. This needs to be like all around the state, all around the country, all around the world. You need to pass this message everywhere you go, all across the world, because it needs to be said. And where can people get that other than the schools? Will you
So
have some yourself,
so
or?
I really want to protect the message and the whole essence of the program, because it's not
Right.
just a book, it's not just a workbook. It comes with talks and fem tours. So if anybody is interested in having this type of program for young girls between sixth grade and ninth grade, definitely go to our website, empoweredfem.org, and that's how we are. And on any of the social medias, it's empowered fem. On Instagram, on Facebook, and then the website is empoweredfem.org. You can get I can give you information on how you can have this program either at your church, at your youth group, if you have a place where little girls congregate. We'll definitely build something like this for you. And if you're a teacher, if you're somebody who you know sees value in this and would like some of this, of course, reach out to me. And then
Of course.
I'm always helpful. I'm always willing to go speak to anybody, or you know, tell them about a careers in engineering or STEM careers. I really like for the little girls to you know, put a face to an engineer. You know, they might think that an engineer has to fit a certain mold, and really you don't. You know, you can still be who you are, because believe me, I will be in the refinery with a full set of lashes if I could, you know, but I have to wear safety glasses, so I can't. But you will always find me, you know, with lipstick and as done as I can. But yes, not losing your femininity just because you have a certain career or you think you need to fit a certain mold.
You are the definition of a role model, Zoraida, and I truly mean that. And that's me coming from someone who's trying to become somewhat of a role model themselves, because you inspired me, and you're going to continue to inspire a whole lot of people down the road, like you've already have been doing. Which is why I feel like you're more than certified to answer this question I'm about to ask you, which is, what defines a true leader in your own eyes? If you could explain that.
Of course, I think a true leader is somebody who leads by example. I I try to do that all the time. You know, I try to show how what what it looks like from this side, because I've been on that other side where I was, you know, wondering why, you know, when my lights were off, where my next meal was going to come from, where how I was going to make ends meet, and I didn't like the way that looks. So I like to shine a light on what this glam life could be, what this you can't tell me nothing type of life is. And a true leader leads by example. And not only that, but I always share all my tips. I'm always available to tell anybody, you know, how I did it, and always willing to share that knowledge, because it's it's important to me that if I can do it, you can do it, your audience can do it, anybody can do it. It just takes your dedication and for you to be determined, and like I said, be laser focused on what it is that you want to achieve. But a true leader is a servant leader, and giving back to the community is me putting myself out there, because I really believe in the mission and I really want something good for the next generation.
Well said. I agree with every word that you said, and I'll even tap on a couple of other things. A true leader is someone who inspires other leaders with what they're doing, despite them having their own agenda and their own message. And at the same time, obviously, a true leader makes more leaders. So I think that's a very, very good conversation we just had about leadership, that everyone who's listening to the HFWB podcast series will learn a thing or two and will definitely replay this. Now, as I begin to wrap everything up, Zoraida, I want to ask you basically a list of questions that I usually ask everybody, but I'm going to cater it just a little bit based on your overall lifestyle. My first question, what is the first thing you do or think of the moment you wake up every single day?
I give thanks to God for all my blessings. I'm always grateful. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. A lot of people have forgotten their faith, and that's one of the rules of being an empowered femme, is to keep up with your faith and remember your blessings.
I agree 100%. And I'm also want to ask you, as far as my next question is, in your own definition, what is health and wealth in your own eyes?
So for me, health and wealth is living in this positive light of healthy mind, body, and spirit. And I was trying to nurture that. We talk about, we hear a lot about diets and a lot of emphasis on our bodies and exercising, but we also need to feed our mind and put in positive thoughts.
Exactly.
And probably and probably that's probably the first thing that we should focus on, and then everything else might fall into place. But practicing a little combination of that is something that I try to do all the time, because let me tell you, those little voices in my head will get pretty loud there sometimes. So just having your own your rituals of how you manage that, and how you recharge that chip that's inside our head to being positive is important.
That's well said, and I couldn't agree anymore. And I want to add to that by saying, it's like I like to say all the time, Zoraida, you got to train your mind so the body can follow, right? That way you could take that next step into tomorrow. So that's something that I think everybody should heed on, as far as everything that we've been talking about, as far as our own versions of health and wealth and everything. And it just goes back to basically just being, of course, wealth being a process. It's a grind. It's not no overnight thing. That's pretty much the whole purpose of what I talk about in my personal book that I wrote and self-published, What's Wealth Without Work, and applying that concept, and also being the best version of yourself you could be every single day, and just putting that into one and applying it to all aspects of life. And you'd be surprised on the magic that you can definitely create. That's for sure. Now, I'm going to tell you this, Zoraida, now that I have you here. I'm completely jealous, a little bit jealous, because you have traveled everywhere. I feel like there hasn't been a place where you haven't been to. So I have to ask you this question. As far as all the places you traveled all around the world, and I'm not just talking about New York. I mean, I've heard you've been to Greece, Italy, Spain, all these places. I could be right, I could be wrong, but where is your favorite place that you traveled to, where you've had the best memories, and where do you feel like is the worst place you traveled?
Oh my God, this is a really difficult question, because I got the travel bug, and I haven't been able to stop. And I think
I know.
from like you said, London to Spain to Italy, Mexico. Probably the best place. I don't know. I don't know. It's really. I think
To where
probably
you.
Greece. We did the island hopping in Greece,
Mm,
and Mykonos.
mm,
We did Athens, and let me tell you, the Greeks are very friendly, very friendly. They open up your arm. They're
oh, really?
they just open up to you and treat you like family. And then all of their food is everything is fresh. Like there's no such thing as tomato in a can. There's no such thing as honey from a jar. Like everything is absolutely fresh, and the food is just amazing.
Mm.
The beaches, it's just if there's one place where you want to go, or Greece is definitely one, that has to be on everybody's bucket list.
I will. I will definitely add that to my bucket list because I wouldn't have known. Now I see why most of the celebrities are saying, "Hey, don't sleep on Greece."
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I could think of a couple of people who's mentioned that in certain songs that I've listened to, and I'm thinking to myself, "Is Greece really that nice?"
yes.
And you just confirmed it yourself, Zoraida. So now I need to
Of course,
get
yes.
myself together.
Yes, like that's the start of
You just encouraged.
civilization. Like the Acropolis, like the Greek mythology. It's still vibrant there. Like it's just amazing, to see like where it kind of all started. Almost, it's amazing, and a well worth trip.
And I think we just may have learned a very valuable lesson here for all the listeners for the HFWB podcast series, including myself. One, the world is a very big place, so don't limit yourself to it. And two, get yourself together and get a passport and go explore the
Yes,
world.
yes,
And that's something I'm gonna do myself because I
yes.
do not have a passport, but I'm working on it, and hopefully next year I can at least try to play
Of
a little bit
course,
of catch up.
yes, yes, yes. I mean, we stop going to San Antonio. Stop going to local. We need to, like I told you, like stop playing yourself small. Stop today. Everyone needs to stop playing themselves small. Like just stop. I don't want to see people. Oh, we're in Austin. Oh, we're in Houston. Like people, like I want to see you in Europe. Like I want to see you saving your money to go. And you know my trips, I
Yeah.
usually pay on them for like 2 years in advance. Like I want you to start to plan your life a year in advance. Like my life is already planned out for next year. Like let's stop being average. Just stop it. Let's be on that higher level that we need to be in.
I agree, and you just encouraged and motivated me and everybody listening to the HFWB podcast to do the same, and I thank you for that because we all need a spark to get ourselves going in some sort of direction. That's what I always like to say, and I think you may have just provided that spark as far as within the traveling bug. So,
Yes, yes,
well said
good.
and well done, Zoraida. Now, this is probably going to be an interesting question I'm going to ask you. When you're not doing everything that you're doing, when you're not traveling all across the world, seeing all these different sites and everything, what are some of your favorite hobbies you like to do?
Um, Honestly, like lately, I've been so addicted to TikTok, and that is not a hobby. That is just like something that's been distracting me. But I enjoy
At least you're honest about it.
yes, but when I do some of my hobbies are honestly, I'm always kind of just on the go. I I just like to work on my blogs, work on the website, uh, speak, help other people with whatever endeavors they might be doing, connecting people. But as far as like a hobby, like like not really that I can say that there's something that I I do all the time. I really just like to keep myself busy and working and hustling.
Hey, I respect the honesty behind that, and honestly, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I mean, hey, at least you're getting a little bit of a break from something that you're doing as far as being on TikTok and everything. And
Yes.
yes, it can be very, very distracting, but you'd be very surprised on what you learn in TikTok. It's just a matter of who you follow and what you decide to see. See, now that's where people get TikTok misconstrued because social media can be your best friend and it can be your worst enemy. It's just a matter of how you use it and who you follow and what you're looking to seek out of it. And hey, you're making the most out of it. I'm not mad at you for that. I'm really not. But I want to ask you one last question, though, Zoraida, before we wrap all this up. If you had to talk to yourself 10 years ago, what would you tell yourself? And where would you see yourself, or where do you see yourself? Where do you see Empowered Femme, everything in the next 10 years?
So if I could go back and tell Zoraida who she was gonna be 10 years later, I would have definitely just told her like, hang on, everything's gonna be okay. Um, and moving forward, I really have big plans, big dreams, and for the Empowered Femme mission, for increasing that circle of influence, for increasing the audience and the people that are impacted by the mission. Um, I get all the time from parents or people or somebody seeing my post that they liked it, that it motivated them, that they needed to hear that, and that's the fire that I need. That's what fuels me to continue on, to keep on pushing, to keep on spreading my message, and to continue on being that role model for other women, that are stuck, and then also for the teens. So there's big things to come with Empowered Femme. Like I said, I'm not playing myself small. This is going to be national, baby. Like, we're just getting our feet wet here in Corpus. This is just the trial run before we hit up New York, California, and definitely watch out because there is going to be a Spanish version of this, and it's just, it's just time. Sometimes time gets in the way of all the things that I want to do, but definitely not playing myself small or the organization small.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And best believe I support you most importantly every step of the way. And I wish you definitely nothing but the best and the greatest amount of success with everything that you're doing because you're on to something, Zoraida, very, very special. And I've told you that numerous of times we've talked. I've told you that whenever we met a few months back, you're just on a roll. It's just that simple. And it's like you said it yourself. Nobody's going to stop you but you. And if there's anything that we could learn from Miss Zoraida Basaldu, the founder and CEO of Empowered Femme, don't play yourself small. Please don't do that. And speaking of that, where can they find out more about you, Zoraida, and where can they follow you exactly? I know you mentioned your website earlier. It was empoweredfemme.org. Am
Yes,
I
yes.
correct on that?
Empoweredfemme.org, Empowered Femme. Google it. Put it on your browser. Make sure to like and follow. Follow for a follow. I'll follow you back. Reach me through any of the social medias. Zoraida Basaldu, and one of my publicists could get back to you, or one of my four assistants.
Well said, Zoraida. Well said. And yep, you heard it here first on the HFWB podcast series. Zoraida, I just want to thank you so, so much. And I really do mean this for just taking time out of your busy schedule, taking time out of all your traveling, and taking time out of all the moves that you're making that are just groundbreaking, just to sit down and chat with everybody who's listening to the HFWB podcast series. Zoraida, it's been well overdue, and I'm glad that we've been able to make this happen. Thank you once again.
And if it's okay with you, I just want to leave the audience with this poem that kind of wraps up our whole talk. And it's a poem by Mariam Wilson. And let me read it to you, okay? It's very powerful. It says, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others." Oh, I love it. I
That
love
is
it.
just, I love it too. And with that being said, that is a great way to end this episode of the HFWB podcast series. Thank you so much, Zoraida Basaldu, for joining us today. And with that being said, this is your host, Clifton Pope, and from Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business. Y'all stay healthy, wealthy, and blessed. Until next time, y'all. Peace and love.